Everybody, it's Cass and Court TV here with you on this fine Monday evening. Now, I know it's a little late, and usually Cass and Court TV is not in session this late, but we do have a little bit of news this evening as it relates to none other than Sean Diddy Combs. Of course, late here in Los Angeles, there was a report of a new civil lawsuit filed um, by a John Doe who is alleging that there are some very not so okay activities that went on between he and Combs back in 2020 during a listening session here in Los Angeles. He's claiming that Combs not only pressured him to take ketamine, and it's not very clear if he gave into that pressure or not, but he also is saying that Combs, I'm sorry to say this, guys, but pleasured himself in front of him, all while watching a very pornographic video, uh, utilizing a notorious Big of all things, a shirt to clean himself up, and then toss the shirt onto John Doe afterwards, repeating the words R.I.P. Biggie, and then walking out of the room. Now, John Doe is alleging that, listen, he also did some other stuff to me back in 2005 when he whipped out his male member and slapped me in the face with it and said, suck it, end quote. Now, this is some pretty abhorrent behavior, but this isn't really anything new that we've heard already. These allegations seem pretty tame by some of the allegations that we've seen. John Doe is suing Combs for sexual battery, also infliction of emotional distress, and he's also seeking damages. Word out to the Combs camp have not received word back as to a response or what they feel about the situation. But I could imagine that it's something like this. Uh, Not another one. This lawsuit will make up for more than 50 lawsuits, civil lawsuits, that Combs has been facing since the beginning of his criminal case, which started last year with his arrest, or 2023 with, or 2023, yes, with his arrest. Or 2024, excuse me, guys, 2024 with his arrest there in New York at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. But it is really just, kind of interesting that, all of these lawsuits are coming up. I don't think everyone is lying, but I do think some of these lawsuits are frivolous. I mean, it's only just obvious that, you know, uh, at least one, at least, right? At least one would not be an actual factual lawsuit, but I think it's more than one. And this one seems a little bit weird to me. I'm not sure if the basis of the lawsuit is, you know, uh, well, he, pleasured himself in front of me, um, that sort of thing. And then he used a sacred uh, Biggie shirt to clean himself off. Um, then to me, that's a pretty weak lawsuit. And I think this is one of those situations where, especially if in 2005, this guy, hit you in the face or shoved his male member in your face and told you to suck it, I think this is one of those situations where you just don't work with this guy again, right? Um, I'm not really sure that this is a battery suit, as the actual battery. Not sure that's what this is. I get that this guy felt uncomfortable, and I get that it wasn't good for this guy to, you know, meaning Combs, to pleasure himself in front of him. But at what point do you, as the John Doe, say, dude, what are you doing? Like, I'm out of here. Why did he wait so long for him to even finish what he was doing, and wait long enough and stay long enough for that guy to, for Sean Combs to finish what he was doing, and then throw the shirt in his lap after he was done with it? Like, that makes no sense to me, especially after the 2005 accusation that he's making, that Sean Combs shoved his member in his face and made the obscene remark that he made. So I'm not sure that this is an sexual battery case. It could be at best a sexual harassment case. Battery, I don't think so. Infliction of emotional distress, potentially, but again, like I always tell you guys, these civil suits, 50 to 51% is the proof that you need. The burden of proof is there with the plaintiff, but I'm not sure that John Doe has any proof at all, except for him saying X, Y, and Z, and this is what supposedly happened. Like, do you have some photos? What do you have? But we don't know because this is just the filing of the lawsuit. I understand that, but I would say that this is one of the more flimsy ones that I have heard. Um, like this seems a little bit weird. And listen, he's been acquitted of the more serious charges, of course, and now he's in this phase of getting his sentencing handled for the lesser, which still carries some weight, and we're awaiting that. And there's a sentencing conference tomorrow on that to expedite his sentencing from October 3rd potentially to a more closer in the future date. I'm sure his team is hoping for something like, later this month, but doubtful on that. It's probably going to look more like, August, because really also what has to happen is that the Department of Probation has to have the time on their schedule to actually conduct the pre-sentencing interview with Combs. And then, of course, usually the defense gets time to review it as well, review their sentencing report. But if they really want to expedite this thing to like quick, the Department of Probation could actually conduct their interview, and then Combs' team really wouldn't have a whole lot of time to review the interview. So they would be cutting themselves off from reviewing their client's pre-sentencing report if they wanted to speed it up and make it to be like now. And this is all dependent on what Judge Submaranian is going to allow. So we don't know if any of this is going to happen, but merely just giving you the options. So Sean Combs is really kind of still trying to end his criminal case nightmare and still just trying to get on the right track. After that ends and he's done with his custody obligations and he's out, he's going to have some work to do as it relates to actually, handling these civil suits. And there's more than 50, but I think it's somewhere in the 80 range, if I'm not mistaken. Now it's probably in the mid 80 range over the last few days. And I think because of what the results of his case was, where he did have, a conviction, two convictions, I think we're going to see the civil suits sort of ramp up a little bit. This, of course, happening all at the same time that Tyler Perry's camp is receiving some really serious allegations from an actor from The Oval and Ruthless. His name is Braxton Wells, and he is alleging that Tyler Perry studios executive by the name of Mark Swinton, who happens to be Tyler Perry's right hand, is actually RAPED him on a trip to some Georgia island that he was invited to. He's claiming that Swinton informed him that this place is where a lot of the execs go, where they go and have men here with them, and they have sex with the men. Wells was very clear with Swinton that this is not an activity he wanted to participate in, and also that he was heterosexual and he has a girlfriend. But of course, during this time, he's trying to maintain his job or get a job on Tyler Perry's productions. Of course, so he was trying to play it safe. All of this, of course, is alleged. This is what Wells is alleging. He has not filed a formal lawsuit, but this is him saying this on a 7-part Instagram video series where he sort of bears his soul, especially after the lawsuit that was filed against Tyler Perry from Derek Dixon, who also plays on The Oval. But Wells is saying that when he got alone with Mark Swinton, this executive at Tyler Perry Studios, that he also slipped him a Mickey. He roofied him. Swinton roofied him, he said. He said that he took a sip of the drink, and before long, he was unable to move on his own recognizances. He was unable to control his body, and that Swinton was creeping up behind him, and then the attack occurred, and it was a full-on penetrative RAPE. He said he woke up in the morning, just didn't know what had happened, felt very out of sorts. He hopped in the shower, and when he got in, he saw that on his buttocks was both Vaseline and blood, and he said he just was devastated, and he was crying. He said that he did report this to someone, excuse me, guys, at the Tyler Perry Studios, but that he is also claiming that Tyler Perry himself is part of a cover up. He said the Tyler Perry Studios executives are covering this up. They know that it happened. He said that Tyler Perry himself is involved in the cover up. So, all of this going on at one time. I talked to you guys about RAPE culture. I talked to you guys about how this trial could have a severe effect on sex crime victims and their potentiality to come forward and their potentiality to, stay quiet. I also talked to you guys about how men are also victims of sex crimes and they also get RAPED'd. And so, listen, guys, this is a serious topic. I think that as it relates to Mr. Wells, he should definitely file these criminal charges. He should not be, just talking about this on Instagram. He should definitely be trying to, file the criminal charges and moving on in that direction, as well as any civil damages, seeking any civil damages that he deems to be deems to be appropriate. But one of the things he said in the video was that he was a little bit upset because he saw that Derek had filed and that he was told that he couldn't file because he didn't have the jurisdiction there in Atlanta because he was a California citizen or California resident, excuse me. But he said that the same thing is going on with Derek, that he was allegedly harassed there in Georgia, but that he is also a Los Angeles resident, so he doesn't understand why he wasn't allowed to do that. I don't know. I think that Mr. Wells needs a better attorney. I think he needs better legal advice. He said he's gone to the California State Bar, but perhaps now that things are public, somebody with of note and somebody who understands the law in the way that he needs them to can come forward and help him. Jurisdiction wise, he said that, I only have 2 years. But jurisdiction wise, as it relates to sex crimes, if he has any proof, if he has evidence that these things happen, he can still try and file a police report. He can also still try to file civilly as well. So there is a Survivors Act. That's still something that he can, try to capitalize off of as it relates to the civil side of this. On the criminal side of it, you know, he can try and file a criminal case there in Georgia. I don't see where the police would say they have no jurisdiction because he lives in California. I think he tried to file a civil suit and did not try to go about the criminal route. But that is certainly the first route I would have taken if it had have been me. But of course, I don't want to come around or come across as if it were me, I would have did this, that, and the third. So you just don't know until you're in that situation. But I would recommend that he try to seek some criminal justice on this, because if it's true that Mr. Swinton did this to him, he needs to be brought to justice. And anyone that is committing these kind of acts, and anyone who's part of cover up, because that is aiding and abetting. Okay, guys, I want you all guys to have a great night. I'm going to be live tomorrow. I'm going to be live around 2:30, 3 o'clock Eastern, right after the after the sentencing conference on tomorrow. I did a whole live today on what to expect tomorrow, so make sure you look at that, and then make sure you tune in to our live Cast and Court TV tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern, 3 o'clock Eastern, somewhere in the neighborhood there, and we'll get on it and tell you what happened. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay safe and definitely stay out of trouble. All right, this is Miss Info.